Hi there, Ryan. Going to talk to you about my process for auditioning for a band. For lead guitarists, what I went out for. I had not auditioned for a band in close to 20 years, so this is coming in cold, and just going to talk about what I had to go through to get the gig, which I did get, but it was a lot of work to get there, and I just want to kind of share that experience with everyone. Maybe it's helpful for you if you've got a gig coming up where you need to audition for something, right? So before I auditioned, I was only playing guitar maybe 4 to 6 hours a week, and I had to ramp that up quite a bit, right? So right before the audition, I was playing about 40 to 50 hours a week of practice, maybe a little bit more. That was not advisable, going from such a small amount to a large amount of practice. Wrist, fingers, elbow, everything was suffering. I ended up going through a process where I would practice for 2 or 3 hours, and then I would go take some ice water and just dunk my hand in there, and then go from ice to kind of a hot or warm, right, and rotating between the cold and warm, doing different stretches, doing some cupping on my arms, right, just trying to keep my body together while I went from such a low volume to a high volume. Not advisable. I'd recommend going from, if you're at 4 hours a week, work up to 10 hours, 15, 20, 30, something like that, those type of intervals. I didn't have that luxury with this. I got a call, and this opportunity presented itself. I had less than a week to get ready, so what are you gonna do but go if you want it, right? So so my process was to learn these songs. There were 6 songs I didn't really know. I didn't know how to play any of them, and half of the songs I'd never heard of ever, right, before. So that made it a little bit more difficult, never hearing the song. So first thing I do is put those on a Spotify playlist, and that is my world until they audition, right? That playlist is on repeat, and I'm listening to that every hour that I'm awake. I've seen online some people talk about listening to it while you're sleeping. I like my sleep, and I think it's a good let your brain rest a little bit, so I prefer not to do that while I'm sleeping. But as soon as I wake up, the earbuds go in, playlist is on, and that's just hammering that song in over and over and over again, right? So even when I'm not playing the guitar and practicing, I'm still learning the song, memorizing it, hearing the different transitions and what the guitar tone sounds like and what's the emotion of the song. I found it helpful as well to use different headphones. So I'd have in-ear headphones walking to work, and then at the office I'd have like a little bit nicer over-the-ear noise cancellation headphones that kind of brought a little bit higher audio quality, and I could kind of pick up on nuances of the music a little bit better with those. But it was just good to kind of have the different cross sections with the different headphones. It just kind of helped put the whole story together of the song. When it actually came down to learning the songs, I would take them piece by piece. So I'd start with the first 15 seconds of the song or so, the first, not necessarily by time, but by sections, right? The intro, the first verse, the pre-chorus, chorus, whatever they are, and loop that section, and then keep playing that until I pretty much have it, right? And then work on the next section. And then after I got a couple sections learned, I would kind of build them together, right? All right, so I'm good through the first chorus. So then I'd start looping intro, verse, chorus, and loop that until it felt really good, right? So that way I'm not just learning a section in isolation, because the transition of both the notes, the chords, and the emotion is important when you're transitioning between a song. So you don't want to just, a chorus shouldn't feel like so abstract from the rest of the song. It should be a dynamic flow with the song. And reps, I'd play a song, I think I estimated close to like 100 times before I auditioned on it. One of the songs was my wife's, one of her favorite songs, and I don't think it's her favorite song anymore. She heard that song so many times. She told me she got sick of it. So, that's what it took, right? Those reps, putting them in. And it's not just, hey, she heard her favorite song 100 times. She would hear a 15-second loop of part of the song for hours, right? And then an hour break, and then another 15-second portion of the song for an hour, right? And that's what it took to really master those songs. Some of these harder songs that have these solos and stuff, and there might be a 30 to 60 second solo. Well, you can do, 60 to 120 of those an hour when you're looping, right? You have it on auto loop and you're just playing that solo over and over and over again. For a 1 minute solo, 60 reps per hour. That's what it takes, just putting in the cycles. So, yeah, that's kind of my process to go through that. The mental aspect was huge as well, right? You have to convince yourself that this is your gig, right? Not to show up cocky and arrogant, but mentally you have to tell yourself that you can do this and this is possible. If you tell yourself something is possible, that's the first step. You can then follow through. The inverse of that, if you tell yourself you can't do it, you're definitely going to fail, right? So your head game needs to be right, and you need to believe that you can do it. Now, what helps build that confidence that you believe you can do it? Prepare, right? Putting in those cycles, playing the song hundreds of times, learning the song upside down, backwards, forward, whatever, right? Doing all that work is the foundation for you mentally to say, I've played the song 100 times. I did the solo on repeat for hours. My wife now hates the song. I did the work. I can go perform the song, right? And getting that headspace right is how you can go from trying to memorize the song to perform the song. And those are completely different concepts, right? To memorize it it's mechanical, right? Like I'm playing the notes. It's what's written on the paper. The sheet music says this is the right note. Music is more than notes. Music has always been about emotion and this like emotional spiritual connection that's not fully tangible. We can describe it with notes on paper, but those are more of the symptoms of what we hear of the music. But there's this untangible emotion that's attached to music that it's hard to replicate, right? But to do it right, you need to feel the song. You need to feel the music, right? I never really went through and looked up the original artist and what they were feeling when they wrote through the song, because that was their process. The beauty of music is everyone can have their own interpretation of what it means to them. No one's right or wrong, right? The original author would have why they wrote it and what they were feeling, but that doesn't mean that you as the listener has to feel the same emotions. You can have completely different emotions and it's just as powerful, right? So whatever that connection is to that song, find it, right? Find that emotion that does justice to the song and harness that. And if you've done the homework and you know the song and you've got the muscle memory and your fingers know where to go, then you can just be in the moment, let that emotion flow out and perform the song. And if you don't get the gig, that's all right. You did what you needed to do there. It's a learning process, right? Even if you don't get the gig, you learned a lot. You worked some new songs. You met some cool people, hopefully. And just because you don't get the first call back doesn't mean you're not going to get the second call back, right? I was in a band where we had a drummer, didn't work out, we had to call the second one, right? So, and that actually happens quite a lot, right? So if you don't get the gig, if you really want it, maybe keep working those songs. Maybe work on the rest of their songs, not just the ones you auditioned. Hopefully you get that call back, right? But just don't let it, keep you down, right? Sometimes, if it's a big gig that people really want, there's going to be some serious talent that shows up, and maybe they're professionals and they've played those songs for decades, and you're coming in cold like I was, right? It happens, right? So don't let it get you down. Go through the process, and if you're really serious about it, look for the next audition and push it forward more for that one. So yeah, hopefully that was helpful. That was the process I went through. I got the gig, and now I'm playing like crazy with these bands and loving every minute of it. But it was stressful for a little bit, kind of getting everything ramped back up and getting to where I needed to be to get those auditions. So yeah, hopefully that helps, and thanks for watching.